The Full Melt Show is intended for a mature audience. It contains adult themes, adult content, and sometimes adult language. Listener discretion is advised.
It's the Full Melt Show.
Over the last several months, we've learned a lot about you. I think more than anything, we've learned that your emails are very boring.
Yes.
I thought we would get more out of this, but this is one that I'd like to go through. This is to Lauren Gelotti. As you said, I was just thinking about this last week. I'm going to order some tomorrow. Apples. So they'll be in your office when you get back from UNGA? What's UNGA?
The UN General Assembly.
Oh, it stands for something. I thought it was some African nation. But for some reason, my supplier just stopped sending them after the new year. I'll set up an account. Now, this is about pot, right? This is a code. This is how you order marijuana in code.
Yeah, this is really top secret stuff. When I was senator from New York, one of the great joys was advocating for all the different businesses in New York. And New York produces a lot of apples. And
hence the name, the Big Apple.
Hence the name, the
Yes.
Big Apple. Mm-hmm. And so I always kept fresh apples in my office for people to take advantage of. And we hadn't gotten any apples for a while, so I was wondering where the apples were. I am sure someone could make a lot out of that, but that is the case. It was about real apples from New York.
Okay, not pot then. Why do you disagree with Bernie Sanders about decriminalizing marijuana at the federal level?
Well, look, I think what the states are doing right now needs to be supported, and I absolutely support all the states that are moving toward medical marijuana, moving toward absolutely legalizing it for recreational use. But I want to see what the states learn from that experience, because there are still a lot of questions that we have to answer at the federal level. What I've said is, let's take it off the what's called Schedule 1.
I notice your hand motion.
Let's take it off the Schedule 1 and put it on a lower schedule so that we can actually do research about it. There's some great evidence about what marijuana can do for people who are in cancer treatments, who have other kinds of chronic diseases, who are suffering from intense pain. There's great anecdotal evidence, but I want us to start doing the research because, Jimmy, suppose you're taking 2 or 3 prescription drugs and you don't know what dosage you should be mixing with everything. And so let's find out, and then let's make that available, and let's do more.
Well, you'll be happy to know Guillermo is working on a research project right now.
That's right.
And he's going to report his...
I want to hear from him. I'm accepting information from everybody.
You have received an endorsement from Snoop Dogg, which is really key.
Yes, I have. That's right.
When we had your husband, President Clinton, on the show, he said, I asked him about UFOs in Area 51, and if he looked in, because if I was president, that's the first thing I do. I go right into those files and see what was going on.
Right.
And he said that he did do that.
Yes.
And that he didn't find anything.
Well, I'm gonna do it again.
Yeah, why not?
Right? And there's a new name. It's unexplained aerial phenomenon.
Unexplained aerial phenomenon, really?
Yep, UAP. That's the latest nomenclature.
I like the old one. I like UFO. I don't know why.
Well, I think we can use them interchangeably, but I would like us to go into those files and hopefully make as much of that public as possible. If there's nothing there, let's tell people there's nothing there.
What if there is something there?
Well, if there is something there, unless it's a threat to national security, I think we ought to share it with the public.
Well, what if everybody's all hopped up on medical marijuana and everybody gets paranoid? I would love it.
That's why I want more research.
If you share it with me, I'll decide what is the best course of action. I really have my ear to the ground.
Well, I'm more than happy to do that.
Do you love clicking buttons and subscribing to things? Then click the buttons.
The Full Melt.
The Full Melt Show. A marijuana discussion about news, culture, politics, and lifestyle. FullMelt.com. Toll free. 844-420-TALK. 844-420-TALK.
I'm half blind today. It's blindness. watching that Jimmy Kimmel piece. I tell you that Hillary Clinton looked a lot better back in the days of not HD TV. You know what I'm saying there? I mean, that HD TV's bad. When it was standard definition, you didn't notice that Hillary needed a trowel to put some makeup on because, good Lord. There's a reason I do radio. When you get old, nobody can see. Oh, poor Hillary. I mean, she is, you know those things that the people who do martial arts, like, what is it, judo and jiu-jitsu? What is that? I don't know. There's some martial arts, I can't say it. I'm not even going to try because it's just going to come out the same way it came out the first 5 times I tried to say it. Jiu-jitsu? No, I don't know. Judo? There's some kind of thing where they when they're practicing their karate moves, it's not karate. Karate doesn't use this thing. Well, they might. I don't know. I'm no martial arts expert. But they have like a wooden stand with posts coming out of it, and they use it to as a target. And a lot of it's for toughening areas of the body, you know, toughening strike zones where you're going to strike the object over and over and over again, and you're kind of creating a calloused area, like a helmet over that area where you're striking. So that when you go to use it in real practice, you're in a zone that's less tough than your practice zone. You know how when it's kind of the same way. Here's a better analogy: when the batter steps up to the batting box, you know those little weighted rings they put on the bat, and then they're over there in the batting cage. Not the batting cage, but they're in the batter's box. They're in the on-deck box. And they're over there swinging that bat to some practice swings. They're doing that to weight up the bat so that when they swing the real bat, it's a lot lighter, and maybe they'll connect and hit a home run, right? I mean, they're trying to put themselves in a test environment that's stronger than their real environment. That's really what I'm trying to say. And now I don't remember what I was trying to make. Now that I've made the analogy, I forget the connection back to where it from whence it came. It's been a busy week, my friends. A very busy week indeed. I thought you'd get some lighthearted comedy out of that piece with Hillary and Jimmy last night. How fun was that? I'm still mad that I can't draw my analogy back to the point. That really pisses me off. But, oh well. Moving along, I got to tell you that the title of the program today is about law. That medical marijuana retail cannabis, legalized weed, has passed several legal hurdles. And so I want to talk about that a little bit more in depth in the program today. Then also, what else is in the news today? Let's see here. Digging around. I am so disorganized today. You ever have one of those days where organization just escapes you? Like the harder you try to become organized, the worse it gets? That's today for me. See, I'm in Facebook. What am I doing in Facebook in here? Toggling around the phone looking for what the hell I'm doing. So there's some stuff going on in Colorado. It always has. I told you yesterday, and I've mentioned it before, that just because Colorado's passed legalized marijuana doesn't mean it's the be-all and end-all for the weed question there. It's really just the very beginning. It is. It's the start of things. Yeah, a lot of people look, that Colorado got it done. Yay, it's over for them. No. You're looking at it the wrong way. It's just started there. And the questions at play are still the obvious ones. Medibles are an issue. Cash transactions are an issue for banking. It's the same issue. Security is an issue, therefore. And then, because anytime you're dealing in an all-cash business, it's always a target of people who would want to steal your money. This is why deposits are made electronically nowadays, and you don't have to worry about a lot of that stuff. When you do a PayPal transaction or a debit or credit card transaction, It all handles electronically. You don't got to worry about the cash handling. But if you're forced by the banks and the law to do all your business in cash, well, you're a much larger target now. But nobody wants to steal your ATM equipment or your MasterCard Visa equipment. What they're after, because it has no real value. I can't sell it to somebody and get something out of it very easily. Got to find a specialized buyer for that. They are interested in the cash, though. So if the cash is laying around, or they think the cash is laying around, or it's in a safe somewhere that they might have access to that they could just steal the safe, then this is the problem. What else is going on in Colorado with regards to problems? Well, there's driving. They still have driving as an issue. They still have open consumption as an issue. They still have neighboring states wanting to sue them as an issue. They still have associations and organizations inside the state wanting to sue other people. It's part of that bigger story that I'll talk about after the break. Lots of legal stuff, legal wrangling, and it's deep. Federal lawsuits, civil lawsuits, people trying to create criminal lawsuits. I mean, it just goes on. And the more people that are involved in the industry and the more competitive they are and the more stringent the laws are, depending on where you're at, even inside the state of Colorado, people will betray you. People will become snakes. They get protective. Marijuana is just the beginning when you pass it. It's just the beginning. I mean, from the standpoint of medical marijuana here in Michigan, we're still battling this strongly. Huge opposition. Everywhere you go in this state, there's some prosecutor or some government representative, usually police, townships sometimes, local cities, trying on their own for the life of them to prevent you from having access to medical marijuana even the medical form. Look, it's going to take me going down to my local township and having a meeting with the township supervisor to do some strong education on this subject. I might even suggest that the entire council sit down and have an educational meeting about the subject of medical marijuana before they decide to try and make some modification to an ordinance which is currently in this state illegal. Hoping to talk some sense into them. But like I say, look, we passed medical marijuana here 8 years ago. Township here, 8 years ago. Yeah, 8 years ago. Township here still struggling with the entire idea. It's 8 years old. If this was a child, it would be a kid in elementary school already. The hell is wrong with you? How long do we got to wait till that kid graduates before you jump on the medical marijuana bandwagon, for crying out loud?
Full melt.
If you're like us, your pets aren't just animals. They're members of your family. Pet Pain CBD hemp oil drops are great for aging as well as active dogs and cats. Some people are apprehensive about hemp treatments for pets. They ask us, what are you smoking? Absolutely nothing, and neither will your pet. Like other hemp-based products for humans, the allure is all of the benefits of cannabis without any of the high. The CBD oil has shown to rejuvenate the bones, joints, brain, stomach, eyes, and heart. And the drops contain absolutely no corn, wheat, soy, artificial colors and flavors, or preservatives. Pick some up today. Visit PetPain.com or ask for Pet Pain at your local pet store. PetPain.com. CBD relief for your pet.
When you need legal help, you don't want to guess at who's standing next to you in court. And when it comes to a medical marijuana defense, it's even smarter to partner with a lawyer before you need one. Based in Royal Oak, David Rudoy has a proven history of not being afraid to take your case all the way to the Supreme Court and win. Find the law offices of Rudoy Law
at RudoyLaw.com.
RudoyLaw.com is a quick reference on your rights concerning Michigan medical marijuana
and up-to-date news.
That's RUDOI Law.com. Call 248-935-9074 now and talk about your legal needs, because at RudoyLaw.com, we don't just stand up for you, we stand up with you.
What's up with these things, Victor?
We decided to give ourselves stickers for each feature we release.
We read about 10,000 suggestions a week to create features that, as traders, we'd want to use.
10,000 suggestions? Who reads all of those?
He does.
For all the confidence you need, TD Ameritrade. You got this.
We need coffee.
Got it right here.
Cups.
12-ounce, 8-ounce recyclable.
Creamers, sweeteners, stirrers, filters.
Creamers, sweeteners, stirrers, filters, K-Cups.
Hazelnut, French vanilla, French roast, dark, light, medium, bold, extra bold.
And decaf.
Why would you say that? Why would you say that? Why would you say that?
No reason.
Free shipping for rewards members every day. Staples. Make more happen.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
Radio show.
It's an exciting time. It's spring. Spring has sprung. The birds and the bees have returned. And so have the lawsuits, apparently. People are litigious in these United States. A lot of stuff happening in the legal world that affects marijuana. And, this business about suing people isn't going to go away anytime soon. These lawsuits are going to... Okay, here's something else to think about. Part of why a local traffic law in many places has been reduced to some simple proceedings in a courtroom is because courtrooms get clogged with these issues. Looking for, oh boy. There we go. So these issues get the court dockets clogged up, bogged down. So they find ways to make things move along more quickly. I think most of the time by, minimalizing due process, minimalizing your voice, just making it more procedural, less testimonial. And so you get this same kind of thing, I think. See, there are too many drivers, right? There's so many drivers out there, all those cars, all those insurance policies, all those possibilities for accidents. In Michigan, it got to be such an issue that they started the no-fault law. So there's no-fault insurance, which means, nobody's at fault. You have to have your own insurance if you want to get your car fixed. Like, they don't care. Like, the insurance companies can battle out who was at fault. They can figure that out. Like, if you've got no-fault insurance in Michigan, for those who don't know, there's a lot of people who don't know what no-fault insurance is. If you've got a car in Michigan, you're required to have insurance. And it can be simple, like, just property loss, property damage, not fixing your car, no collision coverage, just medical coverage and property loss and property damage. So if you hit something and break it, you've got insurance to cover it. But whatever you damage on your car, if you just got PLPD insurance, isn't going to be fixed. You need collision or comprehensive coverage in order to cover that. And it's very expensive here. But those cases, but before they had no-fault insurance, started clogging up the court system so badly that they created this no-fault insurance, which basically takes a lot of the question out of the courts, right? When it comes to getting your car fixed, if you've got insurance and you've got insurance that covers the damage that occurred to your car, then you go through your insurance. You're going to have to pay a deductible probably if you've got that on your policy, and then you can get your car fixed. But if somebody else smashes into your car and it's completely not your fault, and you don't have full coverage insurance on your car or comprehensive collision coverage on your car, which is the expensive part, regardless of the fact that it wasn't your fault, that you didn't contribute to the cause of this accident, somebody ran a red light and smashed into you, your car remains broken. It's up to you in the state of Michigan under the no-fault law to just have insurance if you want your car to be fixed. And the reason they did this, again, was mostly to take this issue out of the courts. So now it's been minimalized to a civil suit or some arguments between lawyers and some papers flying back and forth. Let's say you did have full coverage insurance on your car, right? And the guy that ran the red light, it didn't matter whether or not he had insurance. He did something which damaged your car and potentially you. So the insurance company, once your insurance company pays out on the damages, whatever medical you might have, whatever damage to the vehicle might be, whatever property damage, maybe you busted some guardrails or something in the process or knocked down a light pole because of the accident, something like that. Those are all covered by the insurance company, your insurance company. But because your car hit the thing, even though another car hit you and your car hit something else and broke it, your car, because it's the one that made contact, is probably going to have to pay for that damage. But your insurance company's not going to sit on that. They're not going to be happy about that. Because you're a good client. You've never had any accidents. You've got no at-fault accidents. You haven't had any prior claims before. So your insurance company charges you a small amount. They're not making very much money from you because you're a low risk. So the amount they're getting from you isn't going to justify the payout on that. And what they're going to say is, look, your client damaged our client and we were liable for it. We had to pay for it. And because your client damaged our client and caused us to have to pay, we're going to sue you. We're going to charge you for those damages. And that's what they generally do. Is a lot of times it's just a couple of letters in the mail. Hey, your client was at fault in this accident. Here's the police report. You now owe us $7,649.52. And they'll generally just pay that. And if they don't agree with it, there's going to be some argument. And they'll argue it out in court, but it's much, much less than you and I as drivers going and arguing about this ourselves, trying to figure out who's going to pay for it. And the meanwhile, nothing's getting fixed until the lawsuit's done. This is why they did no fault here. Same thing kind of goes with, there's a congruency, there's an analogy that can be made between that industry and the medical marijuana industry with regards to two ends. The first one being there's a lot of players. There's a lot of businesses. There are a lot of consumers. There are a lot of product support companies. There's a lot of stuff going on in the marijuana business. And it's not always in just selling marijuana. It just might be selling paraphernalia or equipment. There are the dispensary issues. There are the grower issues, the supplier issues. But the more of these there are, and especially if you're talking about legal commerce marijuana, just open commerce inside your state, it becomes really problematic because there's so many players, just like the drivers. You got the similar situation. And in Denver, it's concentrated, right? If it was like that everywhere in the country, like it is in Colorado, or specifically in Denver, Colorado, if every place was like that already, Denver wouldn't be so concentrated with this issue. But since they're the first ones, and since they're some of the only ones, there's a focus and a concentration there. So there's a lot more happening. They're the test case, right? The litmus test. I guess it's not a litmus test. That's a bad. Yeah, strike that. It's not a litmus test. It's a test case. Each time one of these is brought. And we're talking everywhere from interstate issues between businesses and individuals, or businesses to businesses bringing suits, or organizations bringing suits against businesses, bringing suits against organizations by businesses. And then you've got intrastate stuff, like the question of the neighboring states of Colorado suing Colorado because they're claiming that they're being damaged. Their citizens are being harmed by the fact that Colorado is breaking federal law and marijuana is pouring over their borders, and it's costing them interdiction money, and they're claiming their citizens are being harmed, These are the kind of suits that are happening. Even though Colorado did this years ago. They did it years ago with medical, and then got the legal thing passed for adults, and all these questions yet linger. So when you've got all these things going on, I'm going to suggest that at some point, the courts are going to get tired of this arguing, this wrangling. If you're a judge and you're sitting in front of your courtroom, and at any one time, the majority of the cases are one thing or another, unless it's scheduled for that, like landlord-tenant. They have a special landlord-tenant court for just that reason. There are too many tenants and landlords. So they're not going to clog up the whole docket of every day with these landlord-tenant cases. They're either going to schedule them on a couple of days at district court level during the week, hear these cases between these hours. Everybody shows up between those hours. I know in my local county here in Michigan, they hear these cases generally once a week between certain hours. So it's one day a week. I think it's Monday or Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. In any event, they've segmented it out. Those are only for landlord-tenant cases, right? Just those times. They blocked it out. The rest of the court docket is open to the rest of the populace, right? It's open to drug cases. It's open to civil cases. It's all wide open. They might schedule civil cases on one day and criminal cases on another, just because the prosecutor's got to be there for the criminal cases. In civil cases, the prosecutor doesn't have to be present. So they might box them out like that. But other than that, it's an open docket. If the judge is sitting there on an open docket day, and more than 50% of the cases, or even more than 25% of the cases, are of one type or another, the judge is going to become alarmed. Hey, this is getting to be too much here. We got where are the cases that used to be, like, we've still had 10 cases on Tuesday, like we've always had 10 cases on Tuesday, but instead of one case or no cases on marijuana, or 2 or 3 cases on marijuana, we got 25 cases on marijuana. Well, I'm using different numbers now. We got 25% of the docket is marijuana cases, or 50% of the docket are these marijuana related cases, civil suits, criminal charges, this kind of stuff. The judge is going to start to get concerned. And so is the prosecutor. Because where are the other cases that used to comprise the rest of that day? Where did they get squeezed to? They get squeezed somewhere. And the court's going to get overburdened with stuff, and they're not going to have enough research. They have to create a new court or do something. There's only so many days of the week, so many judges, so many courtrooms available. They might have to open up another courtroom, hire another judge. This is more costly. And obviously the funds are there to support the cases. They're going to hire the judge and open the courtroom, but they got to build it. They got to install all the equipment. It's expensive. This is a question the court might want to do something about, reducing the way they handle these cases so that they're not so litigious, so they're not so testimonial heavy, so that they can be adjudicated more quickly. So they might have a marijuana case day, right? All the marijuana cases come up on Wednesday now between, 8 and 10 or 8 and noon or 8 and 1, whatever. So there's some background on courts and the way they handle these caseloads. But I said all that to say this. And then I'm going to run out of time. I better not. Yeah, I guess I am during this segment. That's okay. International Business Times today. I thought I turned all that off. I guess I did not. International Business Times today. This is probably just a stupid. When the train rings, there's always some other message that's popping in, and I don't know why. I usually turn it off, but sometimes I forget. So, International Business Times today, ibtimes.com, published a story. Says, marijuana legalization movement just won multiple courtroom battles, but will that be enough to quash future legal threats? By many accounts, Monday was a banner day for the marijuana movement in the courts. That's this Monday. In the nation's capital, the U.S. Supreme Court declined to take up a lawsuit filed by Nebraska and Oklahoma to overturn Colorado's legalized marijuana program, meaning that if the two states' attorneys general want to continue to pursue the matter, they will have to do so in federal district court. Now, I'm a little bit confused by that, because it's my understanding that the entire reason the Supreme Court had this case in the first place is because arguments on commerce between states have to be done only at the Supreme Court. See, federal district courts are generally designed for issues between states, but not when the states have issues themselves. So if you're arguing an issue about one state taking another whole state to court, not a company in a state taking another company in another state to court, when you're talking about a civil case. And that's what this is. These are all civil cases. Only the Supreme Court can hear that case, was my understanding. That's why it went directly to the Supreme Court. You are not supposed to be able to argue those cases in federal district courts. So I don't understand that line in this. They will have to do so in federal district court. Maybe they'll have to change their argument in order to do it there. Maybe it won't. Maybe they'll have to find a company to sue another company. I don't know. That's a very big question mark. That same day in Colorado, a federal judge dismissed a lawsuit filed by Southern Colorado horse ranchers against Rocky Mountain Organics, a marijuana company building a cultivation facility nearby, accusing it and affiliated businesses of violating both the U.S. Constitution and the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, or RICO, laws, a federal law designed to target organized crime. The two suits were among 4 major legal challenges filed over Colorado's marijuana regime in 2015. Another RICO lawsuit filed at the same time as the horses ranchers suit and targeting a marijuana operation in the mountain town of Frisco last February was dropped late last year, and a March 2015 lawsuit by a group of Colorado, Nebraska, and Kansas sheriffs challenging Colorado's recreational marijuana laws was dismissed in federal court last month. You see what I'm saying? This is a group of sheriffs, an association, so to speak, for 3 states, Colorado, Nebraska, and Kansas. All those states, sheriffs banded together challenging Colorado's recreational marijuana laws. It was dismissed in federal court. And thank goodness. Whiny bastard police. Oh, we don't have our low-hanging fruit anymore. We don't have that teat to nipple off of anymore. Where's our milk? Wah. Just want to smack them around. Go learn to lobby the state's legislature to give you legitimate dollars and stop being thieves with badges, you bastards. It's not us versus them. You're part of us, and you better start to think about it like that. You are us. You're not a branch of the military. You got to stop acting like it. You're here to protect and serve. I don't care what the courts say about you don't have to protect and serve. My ass. That was what your oath said you're going to do. That's damn it what you're going to do. And you need to shut up and start doing things for your citizens instead of doing things for yourself. You've gotten out of control, and at some point, people in this country are going to rein you in. While less publicized than the Supreme Court decision, some within the marijuana community consider the dismissal of the Horses Ranchers lawsuits the bigger win this week for the cannabis movement. After all, such RICO lawsuits, if found to be valid, could mean that not just marijuana ventures, but services that do business with them, like banks, insurance companies, and accounting firms, could all be sued for organized crime. It's by far more important, said Hillary Bricken, lead attorney for the Canalaw Group in Seattle. It sets a very firm tone that the judge isn't going to entertain an action that uses law designed to take on organized crime to undermine states' rights and private business actors. RICO is really scary. I'm glad it's off the table. We're going to have to hold this for the break because, as we speak, it's rolling up. So when we come back after the break, I'll tell you about the rest of this legal story. It is lengthy, but I'm telling you, this is what is to come across the country yet. I mean, much of this will be settled by these people, so when it gets to you and your part of the country, they'll have this to rely on. But remember, federal district courts are broken up into districts. One district doesn't bind another. You might have to sort this out in your own courts. More after the break.
You're getting the full melt.
I've seen things no man should bear, and those that every man should dare. From the beaches of Normandy to the far reaches of the earth. In my life, I have lived millions of lives. I've outrun robots and danced with dinosaurs. I've faced the faces of fear and fortitude and witnessed great beauty in the making. I've kept the company of kings and queens, but I'm no royalty or saint. I've traveled, trekked, wandered, and roamed, only to find myself right where I belong.
Jeep. See your authorized Jeep retailer for details on how you can become a Jeep owner.
We asked people to tell us something that happened in their past and something that might happen in their future. The good things were put on yellow magnets and the bad ones on blue. The results show the past was a pretty even mix of good and bad, yet the future was almost all good things. Now that you've seen the results of this experiment, what does it mean to you?
We all want to think about positive stuff.
Realistically, there will be downtimes.
It's great to think optimistically, but let's plan for whatever the future might bring.
Prudential, bring your challenges.
RootMetrics, in the nation's largest independent study, tested wireless performance across the country. Verizon won big with 153 state wins. AT&T got 38, Sprint got 2, and T-Mobile got 0. Verizon also won first in the U.S. for data, call, speed, and reliability. AT&T got text. Stuck on an average network? Join Verizon, and we'll cover your cost to switch.
Introducing Sacred Elements, a place for natural and alternative healing for the mind, body, and soul. Sacred Elements. It's one place, all solutions.
Registered, licensed, certified, ordained.
Sacred Elements.
Massage, hypnosis, Reiki.
Sacred Elements.
Raindrop, aroma and color therapy, body detox, ministry, life coaching, weight and nutrition counseling.
Sacred Elements. Next to the Sweet Leaf, 400 South Dorr Highway, Flint.
11 to 7 daily, closed Sunday.
Call 810-259-2570. Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience, bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Dorr Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571. It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
Radio show.
NoSmell.com, makers of No Smell Candlelock bags. So nobody knows. They're the sponsors of our phone lines. Phone lines here are toll-free, 844-420-TALK across the country. I'm Steve Green, your host. Today talking about law as it relates nationally, clogging up the gears, using organized crime laws to go after marijuana operations and leaving them legally toxic in the business community has led to the potential to pay dividends, not just for those seeking to slow the explosive growth of the legal cannabis movement, but also individuals concerned about nearby marijuana shops impacting their homes, their businesses. The recent dismissal of the RICO lawsuits have caused those opposed to marijuana legalization really just making a lost, just lost a powerful courtroom tool? Is that what it is? Or could the cannabis industry face additional high-profile RICO lawsuits in the months and years to come? After all, such suits can do major damage without winning in court. Just ask Jerry Olson. He's the owner of the marijuana shop in Frisco hit with other RICO lawsuits. Olson, a double liver transplant recipient who found cannabis helped with his pain and recovery, opened Medical Marijuana of the Rockies, one of Colorado's first dispensaries in the mountain town, in 2009. But when he made arrangements in 2015 to move to a nearby location and expand his operation to include recreational marijuana sales, which is a natural business progression, right? If you had beer and wine before, you might want to add spirits to your liquor store. The Holiday Inn, located next door to the new spot, preemptively sued Olson. See, the Holiday Inn sued them, as well as the owners of the property he was going to occupy, his bank, his bonding firm, his accounting company, and others associated with his business, alleging the marijuana shop would be a detriment to the hotel's business. Now, this is a frequently used strategy amongst people when they take you to court. See, they're not going to rely ultimately on the law to win. They're going to try and run you out of money. The more they can entangle you in paperwork, perhaps they will bleed you dry and you can no longer fight in court. The Holiday Inn, located next door to the new spot, preemptively sued Olson. See? They did this in advance. He wasn't even open yet. They wanted to make the argument if he did expand to retail sales for adults, that it was somehow going to damage Holiday Inn. They were alleging that the marijuana shop would be a detriment to the hotel's business. The affiliated companies were eventually dropped from the suit once they either severed ties with Olson. In other words, you're not going to do business with him anymore, because they're being sued, right? Before they were going to do business with this guy. We're talking about commerce here. Remember, Colorado used to be somewhat like Michigan with regards to the effects of the Great Recession. You know, you had empty buildings, empty businesses, no jobs. You prayed for this. You got it passed. And now you're going to say business to business? I don't want you doing business. The hell is wrong with you? They were dropped from the suit once they either severed ties with Olson or reached cash settlements with the hotel. In other words, either if you're going to do business with this guy, we're going to sue you until you stop, or you're going to have to pay us some money. It's extortion is what it is. It's legal extortion. As a part of its deal with the landowner, the Holiday Inn purchased the property Olson was going to use. He sued the landowner because the landowner was going to let him do this. And so he said, screw you, I'm going to sue you, and I'm going to say you got to sell me your property so that guy can't move in because I won't let him do it. As a part of its deal with the landowner, the Holiday Inn purchased the property Olson was going to use. In November, only Olson now left as a defendant. Holiday Inn dropped its lawsuit before the case reached discovery. See, discovery would have been embarrassing to Holiday Inn. But they were able to drop the suit before discovery took place. You know what discovery is? That's where people in a civil suit have a chance to ask each other questions about what they intend to present as evidence in trial, or what the circumstances where you can find out all kinds of information, order the production of documents. Do you got emails? I want to know all the emails that you got relating to this case. Unless they're protected by lawyer-client privilege, those emails should be available to me because we're in a suit together. And I need to see those emails because they have direct relation to this case. So you can force the production of documents, including emails or texts or phone calls or messages. All that can be produced in discovery. You can also ask what are called interrogatory questions, which means you can basically ask a series of questions in a formal way that you have to mail to the other party. And then they have to respond to these questions under oath. So it's just like they were courtroom testimony, but they're just responding to you on paper. And if they don't answer those questions, you can compel their answer. Some people might want to take the fifth. You still got an answer to that question. They're probably guilty. You see what I'm saying? You can get a lot of answers to questions by ordering discovery from the judge, asking the judge to issue discovery in the case. It's one of the strategies I'm going to employ here with a dog suit. I got a landlord trying to get rid of me over my service dog. It's not going to happen, Mr. Landlord. The law's on my side. You can't get rid of my service dog. It's not going to happen. It's a pipe dream. But see, now that they've come after me and they want to kick me out, trying to evict me, in fact, I anticipate that tomorrow morning I'll get papers in the mail calling me to court saying, why haven't you moved out yet? We gave you a 30-day notice to move over your dog. Why didn't you move out? That is going to be a hearing. And if I go to that hearing, if I just show up at the hearing, there's going to be a trial that day. That hearing is a trial. And it's going to be about that dog and about this eviction, if it's going to happen or not. But see, because it's a trial, I can order discovery, right? I can ask the other party, I want your phone calls. I want your emails. I want any photographs or documents. I want anything you're going to produce at trial. And I want all other records associated with this issue. I want any testimony that you're going to produce at trial. I want everything. And you got to be specific when you ask for these documents or for this information. And ask interrogatories. I'm going to send you interrogatory questions, which you've got a period of time to respond to. This is going to make it stretch out a couple more months because when you move for discovery in a civil case, the judge is going to grant you a period of time, generally 30, 60, 90 days. Depends on what is asked to be produced, how complex the case is. But I'll probably ask for 60 days discovery. I'll probably give you 30. And then I'll ask for all these records. And when I do so, there are court rules in place, right? It's going to drag things out. I'm going to have a certain amount of time to ask for this information and put those questions together. So that's going to be that 1 month period, probably, at 30 days. And the 30th day is when I'm going to send those interrogatories via certified mail. I'm going to wait till the last day and I'm going to send those letters. Right? And then what's going to happen is then they're going to have like 3 weeks to respond. Because I'm entitled to that 30 days to prepare my questions. On the 30th day, I'll send the questions when I'm ready. Take full advantage of the due process of law. And then they're going to have 3 weeks to respond, usually. I think that's the court rule. They got 21 days. So 21 days later, they'll respond at the last possible minute because they're going to want to take every opportunity they've got. So we've gone a month and now 3 more weeks. And now, there's the production. So there's more. Now during that period, too, I asked for, it's going to take them a while to put together all this stuff. Lawyers are going to have to confer. It's going to be expensive for them. I'm not going to hire an attorney for this. I'm already well suited. I'm just saying this is what you do with the production of documents and discovery. But you can drag this out and make it very expensive. These guys are going to lose in court anyways when it goes to court. No matter what, the law's on my side in this case. If the judge rules against me, it would be erring in the law. So I would appeal the case, and it would continue to go forward. But see, no eviction's going to take place until after there's a final decision on this issue about the dog. And the same thing goes with this business with Holiday Inn. See, they were about to go to this place where they're going to have to do discovery. And so this discovery was going to have to expose them. They were going to be exposed. That's what discovery is. You get a chance to discover the facts, discover the information. And there was some information there that was going to probably be damning to the Holiday Inn. And they got to avoid that by dropping the lawsuit before discovery took place. Look, I don't have to answer your questions because, you know what? I'm just going to drop the suit. I withdraw my complaint. That's what it comes down to. That's the game that they play in these courts. And this is why I'm saying at some point the courts are going to get sick of this. Quit wasting our time with this frivolous crap. We're going to find a procedural way to move this forward quicker without violating your due process laws. I'm just trying to figure out where I left off in this story. Using organized crime laws to go after marijuana operations. See, this discovery thing, I left off in discovery. By that point, Olson, who said he heard a donut shop and housing were going to be built on the site that he was going to put his dispensary, no longer had a dispensary. The lease on his old location had expired, and inundated with legal fees, see, it got really expensive for him. He couldn't afford to relaunch his business elsewhere. They effectively closed his old business down only because he said he was going to expand it. And they got pissed because it's no longer medical marijuana patients, it's all adults. And they thought somehow nobody would want to come to the Holiday Inn near the dispensary because there's dispensaries there. Oh, I don't want my kids next to that dispensary. We're coming. It's a family venue, these hotels. But so what? There's a liquor store over there you're not bitching about. What the hell is wrong with you? It says, I had a business that had millions of dollars worth of value in it, said Olson. He had a business worth millions of dollars of value. Nursing a cup of coffee in a downtown Denver restaurant, he said Monday evening. Then it was gone. All of my assets. It's disconcerting when someone can take advantage of the system to hurt the little guy and scare everybody else. So there's more to this story. And we'll try and wrap it up after we come back from the break, because when you're talking about changing policy in America, especially when we're talking about drug policy, you're going to get the legal ires of everybody raised. The hair on the back of your neck is standing up because something over there is suddenly threatening you.
You're getting the full melt.
Promotional consideration provided by NoSmell.com, pioneering the storage market for cannabis users. The No Smell patented bag technology offers users 100% smell-proof detection from even the most sophisticated of noses. NoSmell.com, so nobody knows. When placing your order for a No Smell bag, make sure to use discount code FULLMELT and take 10% off the entire order. Learn more about No Smell technology at NoSmell.com.
Young students are our future. They're eager to learn, eager to succeed, eager to make the world a better place. And they want to make it to school safely. Share the road, take care when passing, and always leave 3 feet between you and people on bikes. Bikes are legal road vehicles. We're all drivers.
When you need legal help, you don't want to guess at who's standing next to you in court. And when it comes to a medical marijuana defense, it's even smarter to partner with a lawyer before you need one. Based in Royal Oak, David Rudoy has a proven history of not being afraid to take your case all the way to the Supreme Court and win. Find the law offices of Rudoy Law
at RudoyLaw.com.
RudoyLaw.com is a quick reference on your rights concerning Michigan medical marijuana
and up-to-date news.
That's RUDOI Law.com. Call 248-935-9074 now and talk about your legal needs, because at RudoyLaw.com, we don't just stand up for you, we stand up with you.
If you're like us, your pets aren't just animals. They're members of your family. Pet Pain CBD hemp oil drops are great for aging as well as active dogs and cats. Some people are apprehensive about hemp treatments for pets. They ask us, what are you smoking? Absolutely nothing, and neither will your pet. Like other hemp-based products for humans, the allure is all of the benefits of cannabis without any of the high. The CBD oil has shown to rejuvenate the bones, joints, brain, stomach, eyes, and heart. And the drops contain absolutely no corn, wheat, soy, artificial colors and flavors, or preservatives. Pick some up today. Visit PetPain.com or ask for Pet Pain at your local pet store. PetPain.com. CBD relief for your pet.
Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571. 571. It's the Full Melt Radio Show. As a program note, make sure you catch us live, not this Saturday, but next Saturday, downtown in Ann Arbor. I'm going to try and do a first ever broadcast live from the Hash Bash, but actually at the Hash Bash, which immediately precedes our broadcast at the Monroe Street Fair, so there's some distance away. They might be 2 separate broadcasts. I might do the one first and then quickly move to a new location and do the second. We're talking about the law and using organized crime laws to go after marijuana operations and leave them legally toxic in the business community is the potential to pay dividends, not just for those looking to slow the explosive growth of the legal cannabis movement, but also individuals concerned about nearby marijuana shops impacting their homes or businesses. The thing that makes RICO a potentially very powerful tool for people who don't want to live next door to marijuana operations is you can recover your attorney's fees, said Brian Barnes, an attorney for the Washington law firm Cooper and Kirk, which represented the plaintiffs in both RICO lawsuits. Even if you have minimal damages, it's still economically feasible to file a lawsuit to get them shut down. Such RICO lawsuits terrible cold. Such RICO lawsuits can be financially lucrative without a judge's decision. Plaintiffs are unlikely to prevail in these suits. See, I'm taking you to court. No, I'm not. This is what this is saying. I'm taking you to court knowing that I'm not going to prevail. But the fact that I've taken you to court, I can bleed you dry and shut you down. That's what they're doing in these RICO suits. Plaintiffs are unlikely to prevail in these suits, but they're still a costly nuisance to the industry, said Sam Kamen, marijuana law professor at the University of Denver. And unlike suits like the sheriff's or the state's, these suits have to be litigated one at a time on a case-by-case basis. The lawsuit against the Frisco dispensary was a pretty big, if quiet, success for the plaintiffs. They got a cash payment, an agreement from a bank not to do business with the industry anymore, and they were spared the expense of discovery. Bravo! But it's a misuse of the legal system and should be illegal in and of itself. It's frivolous. If you know you're bringing a case you can't win and your intent is to bleed the other person dry to shut them down, that's illegal. But if RICO lawsuits are so powerful, why haven't there been more of them since Cooper and Kirk filed the first 2 in Colorado early last year? Could be that there just aren't that many folks in the anti-marijuana contingent who have the interest and resources to mount such expensive and complicated legal attacks, because they are complicated and they are expensive, even if they're likely to pay political and financial dividends down the line. One possibility is the war is over, and there's nobody else left on the field defending the territory of just say no, said Pat Oglesby, a tax attorney who studies marijuana at the Center for New Revenue in North Carolina. We are not in the lawsuit business. We are not filing lawsuits, said Jeffrey Senmister, executive vice president of the major anti-legalization organization Smart Approaches to Marijuana. Zinmeister said fighting the various state legalization initiatives at the polls is really where the action is in terms of the fight. Plus, he isn't sure such lawsuits are attractive to attorneys looking to make money off such efforts, thanks to the nascent stage of the cannabis industry. Collecting money from these judgments is still pretty difficult. The defendants don't have many assets. But Denver attorney Matthew Buck, who represented Rocky Mountain Organics and several other defendants in the Horse Ranchers RICO suit, said such suits aren't about collecting money from the defendants. He points out RICO lawsuits are exceedingly difficult to win. Surveys of such cases have found that all but a tiny fraction are total losses for those behind the actions. Instead, he thinks the two suits were a way for a prestigious law firm like Cooper and Kirk eventually to argue the matter in the U.S. Supreme Court, as well as a publicity stunt for the Safe Streets Alliance, a Washington anti-drug organization that helped organize and fund the lawsuits and was listed as plaintiff in both the cases. I think this is Safe Streets drumming up publicity for their 21st century prohibition movement against marijuana, Buck said. See, it's still coming. When do they get the message? It allows them to get their name in the news and allows Cooper and Kirk to argue the case before the Supreme Court. That's how a law firm like Cooper and Kirk pays its bills. But if Safe Streets, which has been reluctant to talk to the press, aside from the comments that Barnes made on the lawsuits, organized the legal actions for the political or marketing reasons stated, there could be divisions within the organization as to whether additional RICO cases are the right move going forward. They're expensive. Safe Streets is chaired by attorney James Wooten, a member of President Ronald Reagan's Justice Department, who's also former president of the U.S. Chamber Institute for Legal Reform, which advocates for significant changes in the civil justice system at both the federal and state levels to reduce frivolous and wasteful litigation. That's what this is, clearly. According to Barnes, Cooper and Kirk isn't currently planning on filing additional RICO suits against marijuana businesses, but that could change. I think lawyers realize that our RICO suits involve a legal theory that no one has used before and are waiting to see if it works, he said. We certainly believe that the law is on our side in this, and if the courts ultimately agree, I think you will see additional RICO suits filed. If other lawsuits were watching the RICO suits to see if they should follow suit, they might have been given pause by the U.S. District Judge Robert E. Blackburn's dismissal with prejudice of the horse ranchers lawsuit Monday, which followed his dismissal in January of the lawsuit's charges against Colorado's governor and other officials and agencies. You see, they're suing government officials. In his sharply worded, government is suing other government officials. I mean, the sheriff's associations for 3 states took these people to court on RICO charges. And we're talking about civil RICO charges, not criminal ones. In his sharply worded decision Monday, Blackburn noted plaintiffs provide no factual support to quantify or otherwise substantiate their concerns as to the diminution in value of their property. They do not even cite any study or statistic that might demonstrate a causal relationship between the operation of such marijuana businesses and decreased property values. See, that's what they were worried about. I can't book my hotel as much because it's, all the families are leaving because there's a marijuana business next door. That's the argument they're trying to make, and that hasn't even happened yet. But Cooper and Kirk isn't giving up. The law firm is appealing Blackburn's dismissal of their client's suit against government agencies and officials, and Barnes said the judge's recent dismissal of the other half of the horse ranchers lawsuit against Rocky Mountain Organics and its affiliated services could be appealed as well. The day we filed this suit, we knew the issue would be decided on appeal, he said. Really, the critical question is going to be weighed by the Court of Appeals, and ultimately it will come down to what Supreme Court has to say. See, this is what their target is, the Supreme Court. Barnes added such lawsuits are about protecting its clients, not destroying other businesses. Take the other RICO lawsuit filed last year against Olson over the planned new location of his marijuana shop in Frisco. He had a contract to buy his building for $1.6 million, said Barnes. We thought we were dealing with a defendant who was well-financed and had deep pockets and would be able to fight us. Frankly, it came as a surprise when it collapsed. It was a good outcome, but we got there a lot quicker and in easier fashion than we anticipated. They got the affected outcome, but not the same way they thought. A good outcome for the plaintiffs, a devastating one for Olson. He hasn't been working since he lost his dispensary. The whole event has been kind of stressful, he said. And to make matters worse, I'm just trying to stretch the timeline out so we can squeeze the rest of this story in. He's considering getting back into the medical marijuana business in some fashion, but his recent experiences have soured his opinion on the cannabis industry. He said hardly any of his fellow marijuana entrepreneurs came to his aid. They just let him languish there. Yeah, you got legal problems. Screw you. Financially or otherwise, they didn't come during the lawsuit, even though from his perspective, what was at stake wasn't just his business, but the financial security of the marijuana movement, you see. I mean, that's problematic. It's a huge problem. Everybody's so busy competing against each other, they don't help each other, he said. See, that's the claim. I'm so busy competing against you, I can't help you right now. With the precedence of this, wouldn't you want to see a positive outcome for the two defendants in this case? But I didn't see support at all. And that's the real thick of things. There's a lot of stuff happening in the marijuana movement. People are anxious to see their state become a marijuana state. We need tax revenue here. We need to stop wasting precious resources. It's just the beginning because there's a big battle to be brewed with prosecutors, state organizations, township associations, sheriff's associations. All the guys making money on prohibition are going to come rallying to the cause to defend that stake because it's big money.
The Full Melt Show is a production of TFM Media.